Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and today we have a very special edition of Locked On Flames with Hannah Carpenter, who is a photographer in Boston, and we are going to talk about a lot about Pride Month and a lot of the Pride initiatives or lack thereof happening around the NHL.
Your Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I'm so grateful to have you here, and as always, I'm Jess Belmosto. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode, and you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts: Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, Apple, Audible, Odyssey, you name it. We're here for you, and I won't take up much more of your time, and we will jump right into this, I was going to say interview, but this important conversation. Well, hello, everyone. Today we are wrapping up Pride Month with a very special interview with Hannah Goon Squad Carpenter of Massachusetts, who does everything. You're currently working with is it the Militia Summer League?
Yeah, so I'm freelancing as a photographer and I'm currently doing a bunch of pictures for them. It's awesome. A little 3-on-3 league with some NHL D1 college guys every Monday night.
Yeah, that's so cool. And for those of you listening, Noah Hannafin is part of the league as well. And before the show, we were chatting, and last year he wasn't really able to participate because obviously he had a shoulder injury, surgery. But this year, he will potentially be back after this 4th of July holiday. So that's exciting. Well, you're probably all wondering what this episode's about, but we're going to take today to kind of reflect on Pride Month in the NHL pro hockey space and who's doing it right, what's going wrong, and where can we, not just as fans, improve, but the league as a whole, because a rainbow profile picture for 30 days does not do it when your main sponsors for a lot of these games, playoffs, and teams is Chick-fil-A. And it's so counterproductive. But where would you like to start? Do you want to start with the good?
Let's hit the bad first. Let's
right.
Let's end on a good note, because I have to say there is a lot of good being done, and I feel like that's where we have to kind of separate the league from the teams, and even after that, the players who are out there like actually advocating and supporting everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember it was the Rangers, it was Eastern Conference Finals, and they showed a shot of the penalty box, and it's just literally just wallpapered with Chick-fil-A. And for those of you, I don't know if they have Chick-fil-A in Canada, but Chick-fil-A is notorious for donating to anti-LGBT politicians, organizations. They believe in conversion therapy and quote unquote praying the gay away. So to have that as a sponsor is just a little counterproductive.
It's definitely insulting. Like there's millions of sponsors out there who have money that they can give you that don't support these things and that are actively working to like do good for the LGBTQI plus community.
Yeah, and I think it's just something that's so simple that can be fixed. And I understand, it's a business, money drives the league, but I guarantee you they have more offers out there than they can cater to, just because that's the nature of the business. And I've worked in sponsorships before, and it's overwhelming, but I mean, just start thinking with like your audience in mind rather than your bank accounts, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you hear all the time about revenue in the league and what drives revenue. They need to get revenue up. How are we going to get more revenue? And I understand, like, it's a business at the root of it, but there's so many other companies that just don't donate to those things and don't support those causes. It is probably more simple than they would like to tell us it is.
No, of course. And it's so frustrating, like when you go online too, and this is, kind of stepping away from, actually, no, let me put the league on blast again. And we are just going to take a quick break to talk about one of our sponsors, BetOnline. As always, please gamble responsibly, and everything in moderation, including pasta, is a good thing in life. BetOnline is your number one source for all of your online sportsbook betting information, your number one source for news, league updates, and of course, podcasts and score updates. And check out their website today to see the latest props and odds in your favorite sports, and maybe bet on the Avalanche for repeating next season. You never know. And thank you so much for your continued support of BetOnline, and you can check out their website and on your mobile device or on your laptop. So head on over to betonline.net today. BetOnline, where the game begins.
Night, they have military night, they have hockey fights cancer. Like, you separate all these things. If you can separate the military and like first responders, you can separate, like, you want to have hockey is for everyone, which we shouldn't have to do.
Literally, we should not have to do this.
Have a pride night. I think it's the Golden Knights. They did like I want to say it was like Chinese Heritage or like Chinese New Year night. I've definitely seen other like heritage nights. Like, that is amazing. And I think that's where the league should actually look around and be like, who's listening to their audience? Who's doing the right things? And why aren't we doing them?
Right. And, I remember it was right after the Blues won the cup, unfortunately. And it was like they had released their theme nights and like honorary nights and things like that. And they had like 3 different like cop nights and first responder nights, but nothing for pride. And everyone was just kind of like, why aren't you focusing on a marginalized community that makes up such a large portion of the hockey fan base?
I feel like they just turned a blind eye to that. They're like, oh, well, everybody is a fan, so let's not separate them into boxes. But it's definitely insulting, I think, for a lot of fans that you have like these back the blue or like military appreciation, and then you can't do anything relating to like the LGBTQI plus community.
Right. And like, you choose to be a cop, you choose to join the military, and you know what? Good for you. I could never, I have asthma. But you don't choose your sexual orientation or anything like that. So it's just kind of like they're picking and choosing. And I remember the Canucks this year, they did their Chinese Heritage Night, and everyone was in love with their jerseys and like the the special merch that they had designed. And they also did a Pride Night too, and everyone ate that up. Not because it was, some sort of fake woke nonsense that these people want to claim it is, but it was, I believe that the fan art was designed by, or the design was made by an LGBTQIA fan, and they were donating to things other than You Can Play. And there's nothing wrong with You Can Play, but there's just other charities out there that we could funnel money into. And fans, they want to support things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that was awesome. And I wish I had that fans like on Twitter or something like that. But it was amazing seeing them put that on a jersey, put that on a shirt, put it on a hat. And like, that's coming from a place where someone was told they could do this and they got to express themselves, and the Canucks really took that, and like they tweeted about it. There was a story done about it, and like that's not fake. That is at the ground level, like just exposure and
Right.
showing that they care.
And the Kraken did something as well, because they had their artist do, I want to say they were a fan, but also an employee or something. They were connected to the organization, and they designed the Pride Night merch around the bisexual flag colors.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, I don't see that often. It's always the rainbow. And like, there's nothing wrong with the rainbow, but to see like my representation matter.
Absolutely.
That's what matters to me. And, you know, I obviously can't speak for everyone, but representation like that does matter. I think, you know, you get to really see like, okay, like I'm not alone in this space, even though this space doesn't always recognize me.
Absolutely. And I think that's where people, especially like fans of the sport who don't agree with people's lifestyles, if you want to say it that way, I think they just don't realize how much representation matters when you're in a space that isn't exactly welcoming to you. Like I've seen stories of people who are just afraid to be in a rink because a majority of fans that do express those views
Yeah.
don't hold back. Like if they don't agree with the way you're dressed or the way you look or the way they're perceiving you, they're going to tell you. And I think it's harder for people like that. Like I've seen a lot of comments on like the rainbow profile pictures of different teams saying like, you want to be accepted, then why do we have to have a month for you? Or you want to be accepted, so why are you shoving this down my throat? And it's like, nobody wants to do that. They just want to be accepted.
Right.
You know?
Not any, like it's not that deep.
No.
It like it is and it isn't, but like changing your profile picture to recognize that community is not like some astronomically like life-changing event.
Right.
I don't know, it bothers me when people, I don't even want to say people are entitled to their views on this, because like honestly you're not.
Yeah, I struggle with the same thing. Like I want
Like,
to say like you believe what you believe, but at the same time, why does it bother you? You know,
right.
like you're not entitled to information on anyone else's life or life choices or to pass judgment on that.
Right. And like, what does someone else's life, like, how does that affect you in any way? That's the thing that kills me. It's like, you know, when we talk about reproductive rights too, it's like, how does me taking birth control to keep my body healthy affect you? And why do you feel the need to support the government and taking that away from me?
It'll never make sense. And especially even further than that, on a level like being a hockey fan. Like, why are you sharing your views in a negative light on a Bruins comment or a Flames
Literally.
like on their profile picture or in response to their tweets? Like,
at that point, like, I don't want to say start a blog, but like start writing your feelings down. You might feel better after that, because
absolutely.
I don't understand people. And you know, but for as many awful people that there are out there, there are so many people who are doing work. And I love seeing like fan-led charity events, like you know, people will pledge like, okay, for every goal Charlie Coyle scores this season, I'll donate $2 to, you know, the Trevor Project or something. And
absolutely,
like, to me, that's more good than, like, that's what shines more to me than those negative comments, because, you know, that's just a fan,
right?
Probably working a 9-to-5 job, or they're a teenager like in college, fresh out of high school, who enjoy the game and love this player and want to donate something. And, you know, whether it be your time or money, like that's still something that these people who comment clearly aren't doing. And, you know, their negativity like obviously hurts, but to see people still be good is really nice.
Yeah, that definitely outweighs the noise, I think, in the negative way. But I do think there are teams like responding on Twitter. Like I think the Avalanche and
Yeah.
maybe like the Hurricanes, like they actively are on there saying like it's not about politics, it's about people. Or
Right.
like if you don't like it, you don't have to see it, but like we're obviously going to be here standing with the
Yeah.
community because that's just what you do.
And I think that's really what people need to start doing. Because if you're going to sit here and post a statement about how you stand with this group and that group and how you don't tolerate hate, then your comment section should not look the way that it does.
Absolutely. And I know you
And
can't silence everybody. And like, obviously, people are going to say what they want to say, but it just never seems like a majority. Even the league itself, like, ever puts out a statement like, we don't agree or like
right.
anything like it.
Yeah. I think it's just one of those things where, release your statement at the start of Pride Month with your profile picture change. And, we do not tolerate the hate that goes along, the bigotry, people like that need to be put into their place. And if an admin behind a social media account of their favorite team does it, I think that's really the only way they're ever going to be humbled, unless you go to a bar and you say something like that and someone's going to knock your teeth in.
Absolutely. And I think that's something too where people are like, oh, they responded. Like, wow, that was so deep. But it's like, them doing that is just another way that like teams individually are showing their support. And maybe it is just an admin or multiple admins behind a Twitter profile, but that does way more than I think people really realize.
Right. And, and that they want to talk about generating more revenue. If I see a team going out of their way to do something like that, I'm more inclined to say, hey, that's a really cool team that like aligns with my values. Let me go grab a jersey, or, oh, my next jersey should be someone from that team or something. Because sometimes, we're both Bruins fans and the Flames fans know too, both organizations fall flat when it comes to this. Hello, everyone. I am just jumping in here to say we're going to take a quick break. And if you are interested in listening to the rest of the episode, we do have a second part coming out as well. So stay tuned for that and catch you on the flip side.
Yeah.
And it's
absolutely.
disappointing. It's so disappointing.
They both have very big followings. Like they're not one of kind of like the smaller teams. Like you could be doing more and you should be doing more.
Right.
Than just, I feel like it's been said a million times, but slapping on some rainbow pride tape for one night a year or
just for warm-ups.
Yeah, just for warm-ups. And obviously there's some players who have taken that to the full season, but like changing your profile picture to like a rainbow,
where's the real activism?
Exactly. It's all performative. They say, well, we did this, so like cut us a break. But it's like, you have this platform with so many people who follow you, you could be doing so much more.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's just like, why, the Flames, I will give them credit because back before the pandemic, a lot of their players did go to the pride parades and we're doing a lot of community outreach work. But obviously in the last 2.5 years, things have kind of had to be scaled back. But, there was plenty of pride parades this past weekend, and how many NHL players or former players did we see out in the streets just supporting and being there and being good allies for the LGBTQIA community?
Yeah, I mean, you have JT Brown, always a very vocal supporter, always out there doing outreach and really making a difference. I feel like everybody knows Braden Holtby, huge ally. And I want to say maybe there was some Leafs players.
Yeah, former Flames captain Mark Gioradno.
There we go.
He was out there, and I was, he's one of those players that I was drawn to instantly when I started covering this team because of how much community work he did. And it wasn't just, you know, a quick photo op here and there or at a local children's hospital. It was quiet stuff. You know, you donate money here and there, and you know, you're still going out in the community. And to see him still doing that with Toronto is really nice. And it, you know, his leadership ability, and you know, he's a leader. He's not just because you're not a captain anymore doesn't mean, you know, those leadership skills magically get stripped away. But it's really nice to see players out there, and especially players like JT Brown, who bring their kids and are teaching them from a young age that we are inclusive. Okay, like we're not making side comments about how this person dresses or how that person looks. Like stuff like bigotry is taught. It is 200% taught. So
Absolutely. And I feel like that goes without saying that like those things make a difference. And it's not necessarily that you need to be a player or like team staff out there like photo opping to be like, look, I was here. But sometimes it is just the more quiet stuff like donating money or like showing up somewhere and being an advocate when you're not asked to, or when that's not like a team responsibility. Like all the videos you see for Pride Month or like even Hockey is for Everyone, sometimes they look either rehearsed, or you can very much tell the difference between the players who are very happy to show their support and the players who are like, you know, this is part of my routine day of doing media.
Right. And I immediately think back to the Tyler Sagan Black Lives Matter protest video. What were we propping him up for?
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, but it's just not, it's the bare minimum.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, even probably players, teams, like they think that the bare minimum is good enough because they're doing something.
Right.
And it's not to say that it isn't, because it's still more than not doing anything. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like you have the bandwidth to do so much more. And you see teams doing it. Right. And then you see teams turning kind of like a blind eye to it.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I think that even doing things like not having Chick-fil-A as a sponsor is, you know, that's the first step.
Absolutely.
Removing them as a sponsor. And it's not just them, it's literally any other company.
Yeah.
That supports that kind of stuff. And, you know, it's doing things like the Canucks do and the Kraken do to bring in fans and that visibility, because guess what? We're out here, we exist.
Exactly. I think another good one is I want to say it was this past season, the Pens and the Sabres did an actual Pride game, like that's where it was labeled, if I'm not mistaken, as a Pride game.
I like that.
Exactly. They had very nice jerseys too, where it was like, it wasn't just like a sublimated jersey. Like I'm pretty sure it was like stitched on, and you have like the full like LGBTQIA like rainbow. I don't know if they had other like the bi flag or the panda flag and things like that, but you could tell that there was effort put into that, and they labeled that what it was.
And that's what it should be. It doesn't need to be, you know, kind of curtained and like shined over with some cute slogan like hockey is for everyone, because we're not talking about everyone here. We're talking about a specific group. And, you know, that makes it sound like I'm excluding people, but like Pride nights are Pride nights.
Exactly.
That is what they're for, the same way your military appreciation night for your military people. Not for me.
You know, I'm pretty sure they play during Black History Month. Why are we not having a Black History Month night? Or why are we not having any sort of different heritage nights? Like there's so many different communities and nationalities that make up fans of the NHL and players.
Right.
Why aren't we highlighting that?
It's so cool to me because I am learning so much from different like heritage nights, or when they have like the ceremony puck drop and like it's someone that like did something really cool for the organization that I knew nothing about.
Yeah,
But where we need more of it.
absolutely. And I think it just goes to show you, when teams are doing it, that either they're putting in the work behind the scenes, or it's not as difficult to set up and market as teams would like you to think it is, because you can do it. And
Right.
there are teams doing it, and they're doing it well. Like the teams that are doing heritage nights or asking their fans to do graphic designs
Yeah.
that relate to them, it's not half-assed. They're not just
No.
putting it on a jersey and being like, oh, there you go. Like they gave
Right.
you a story of that person who designed it. You're learning more and more with these nights.
Right. And I think that's the thing. Like you need to find a way to incorporate education, because that's what's going to help people. And I don't think people's views are necessarily something they're always set in stone with, because I do think, it is environmental, and potentially, everyone has the potential to change that. But, I think it's so cool to see just, these educational video pieces on like the thought process behind this design, or this is behind the scenes for our Pride tape night, and maybe have players be like, okay, donate like $5,000, or as an organization we're going to donate 30 grand as a total, but we're going with our top 6 or however it is, whatever, to donate, and you highlight those charities and you highlight what they do, because the more education and awareness there is, the better.
Absolutely. And I'm obviously not in arenas all over,
Yeah.
but I'm at the Bruins games. And not to say that when they do Pride Night, they don't donate. I think a lot of their money either goes to the Bruins Foundation, or I want to say last year they did the Trevor Project.
Yeah.
Obviously, amazing charities, but I guarantee there's more charities in Boston that are doing this work that are related to hockey. And even if they aren't, these charities deserve money. If you really want to highlight the LGBTQIA plus community, there's charities out there, they're local, bring them in, work with them, listen
Right.
to the people who you're trying to represent. And I guarantee your revenue, as trivial as that is going to go up.
Right. And, like these youth organizations that are out there, we don't need to specifically mold it to hockey.
Absolutely.
Like there's so many more organizations out there of kids who just need an outlet and some sort of support. And if that's coming from $1 billion organization like a hockey team, so be it. Donate new furniture to their clubhouse. Like if it's a boys and girls club, donate, books or computers, something, because a lot of those kids, they'll go to this, I know in Massachusetts it was Bragley. It was this organization for, LGBTQ youth, and they'd have meetings and things like that. And what would be better than having it like catered once a month? New furniture,
Any support
anything.
like that, new school supplies. Like I think it's lost on a lot of organizations, or maybe just as a whole, maybe not the people within them, that there are so many youths displaced because they come out and their family isn't accepting, and they end up in group homes, they end up in foster care. And what would be better than finding out that this team, maybe you're not a hockey fan, but these people that are famous care enough
They
that
care
they're
about me. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Like
And then maybe you build a fan, maybe you
Right,
build multiple
exactly.
fans.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, you can't just sit here and act like it's just like there aren't people impacted by these donations and by these charitable events, because there are so many things bigger than the game of hockey that like we don't always see. And that's okay. Again, we don't have to see it, because this stuff isn't done for optics. It's done because it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely. I mean, you at the root of it all, it's just the right thing to do. And I think that goes further than the performative actions that we get from the NHL.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you wanted to add today?
I don't think so. I just think people need to be a little more kind. I think NHL teams, the NHL as a whole, need to listen to their fans. Like, they're out there, they're giving you their opinion on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. There are teams that have demonstrated that they can take these suggestions and the wants of their fans and turn that into something really, really good. And I think if the league could step away from the rainbows and just the performativeness of it all, I think everyone would be a lot better, because there's a big platform to bring education and support with that. And they're definitely falling short.
100%. And, there's plenty of reasons that, like, we could do a whole presentation on this and, present it to the league office and maybe have two people there say, what, they're onto something. But at the end of the day, I do think it really is going to take more than just whatever this is to get their point across, because again, it's performative, it's almost lazy, and I want to see more. I want to see what teams are doing to support communities.
Absolutely. And I think it goes without saying that there have been leaps and bounds made.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think we're at the point we were 5-10 years ago.
I was just going to say even 5 years ago.
Yeah, there's definitely been strides even in the last couple seasons. And whether that boils down to teams being more receptive, getting diverse voices in there, younger voices who are like, this is what's needed, they're doing good. And I think there's still a ways to go, but I think we're getting there. And as someone who was affected by bigotry and like negative comments in an NHL arena, I can say that we have further to go, but I am really proud of the strides that have been made.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that has been your experience. Like, that makes me so angry, and just, it's so pathetic on people's behalf to act like that. Like, hello everyone, it's editing Jess here, and I'm just jumping in to say sorry for the abrupt ending. My Zoom call ended for whatever reason while we were recording, and we'll pick up this next part in part 2, which will be out immediately after part 1.